I'm Emily Tidwell with Premier Home Inspection. Welcome to the first edition of Keeping the Real in Real Estate. In this series, we spotlight outstanding real estate professionals we work with every day, industry leaders who provide exceptional service across Middle Tennessee. Today, I'm excited to be joined by our agent and friend, Art Kelly, a realtor with Epique Realty, published author of The Seven Spheres of a FriendMaker, and an accomplished FriendMaker business coach. He has 9 years of experience in the real estate industry. Thank you, Art, for being with us. How are you doing today?
Doing great, Emily.
Good. Well, thank you so much. We are so blessed to call you our friend and to work with you all day, all day, a lot of days. Um, could you share a little bit about your business and what sets you apart in the industry?
Oh yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for letting me be y'all's guinea pig on
Thank
this
you.
experiment. I know it's always fun to try doing something new, and so as far as like setting myself apart in the business, the real estate agents, and of course, I'm in the greater Nashville area. I live in Murfreesboro, but I serve a pretty wide swath around greater Nashville. I'll drive hour and a half outside of Nashville to help people. So I do feel like one thing that I've seen a lot of folks do is we oftentimes, and I've been guilty of this, is limiting ourselves to just one small area to serve. And Nashville's a big city, and there's a lot of folks that want to know all the different aspects of all the different places all around Nashville that you can live in. And so just gaining and growing in my own personal knowledge of all of the different areas that people could live in the Nashville area. And so that's one thing that I've really felt. When I first started about 8 years ago, I didn't have any money. I was just trying to figure out how to do the real estate business. And so one of the best ways that I was able to make a little bit of money and learn the area was by Uber driving. So for several months when I first started that first year, I was just driving around Nashville, just learning all the different places in Nashville. And so I've lived here for 25 years. So I already have a knowledge of the Rutherford County area pretty well. But, growing my reach out beyond Nashville has been a big thing. But the other big thing I just tell folks is that I've always really wanted to give people a quality experience when it comes to the real estate sales transaction. And so I tell people I really do make friends with my clients. It's really important to me to bring all of the 25 years I've lived in this city to bear into every relationship that I develop, especially with new buyers moving into the area. Because when you're from California or you're from New York or Michigan or Florida or wherever it is you're coming from, you don't know anybody. And so as a real estate agent, it's my job to know a lot of good people to connect you to when you move to this city so that you can do life here, not just help you find a home, but also connect you with good plumbers and good home inspectors and good electricians and general contractors and people that can help you as you do life here. So that's, I think, a pretty big part of the way I'm able to set myself apart.
Do you feel like that experience is what kind of motivated you to go into the business, or what got you to real estate?
Yeah. So, I've always had a big heart for people. I've always just really loved just being around people. I'm a people person. That's always been kind of a thing about me. And my wife is a photographer here and there. She's actually this is not about her, but I'm going to plug her. And it's Valentine's Day, so I
Yeah,
get
you
extra
have to.
points for
Yeah.
that. But she is an amazing photographer. She does families and babies. She did weddings for a while. She's done birth photos. And I mean, she's really an exceptional photographer. And one of the things that I saw in her photography business before I got into the real estate business was that a lot of her families would would have their extended family come and get pictures. And so a lot of times they would have people from California, and a lot of her clients were coming here from California specifically. California, you're getting a lot of attention in this podcast today. I've already said that word 4 times, but I saw a lot of people moving here to the area. And it's really important to me that when people come, that they feel welcome.
Mhm.
And I think something that we've been guilty of here in the South is being a little bit closed-minded about having other people come in here. And for whatever reason, people have a lot of different opinions about those outsiders coming in here and, taking all of our jobs and taking all of our homes and what have you. I feel like it's our responsibility as good citizens of our area, residents of this area, to make people feel welcome and to give them a good experience of Tennessee, not a no trespassing mentality. And
Right.
so that's been a big part of, so what I saw the people that were moving here, and I was at a point in my own life where I was a bit of a jack of all trades, master of none. I was in my late 30s and I had four children, and my wife and I had a come to Jesus conversation about what I was going to do when I grow up someday. And so real estate was something I really didn't know what I was getting into, to be honest with you. I just knew that I really enjoyed being around people. I wanted them to feel welcome. And in the process, I started the whole real estate journey. And there was a lot of potentially, there's a lot of money to be made in real estate. I would be lying if I didn't say that there was a financial benefit to being able to do it. I just didn't realize how much work it is. It's the hardest work I've ever done. Um, and it's there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of other real estate agents that are a lot better at promoting themselves and getting out there on the on the social channels and in the world. And so that is a competitive space to be in. And so, but I've been up for the challenge, and it's been a challenge, but it's been fun. It's been an adventure.
I bet, yeah, especially the last few years. There's been a lot of changes in it. And what would
Yes.
you say to, right? What would you say to someone that was interested in getting into the business? Um,
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of types of people I think that can get into this business. uh, I'm sure there's more than two types, but you know, um, there's those that can parachute in and just jump right in and Lone Ranger it and just figure it out as you go along. And that was kind of me. I was that kind of personality where I knew that I'm a um, high risk taker when it comes to that. You kind of live on the edge, and so you live usually try to live below, excuse me, below your means and as best as you can. And so we had lived on a shoestring budget for a long time. And when I got into real estate, it was no different.
Mhm.
And so it was just we were kind of living on a wish and a prayer and hoping that maybe all of this work that I was doing was going to someday pay off. And so that's kind of how I got into the business. But for those that prefer a more stable, secure, I don't know if there is a stable, secure way to do real estate,
Right.
honestly. But if there is a way that's a little bit more stable and secure, it would be to join a team. It would be to join somebody who's already an experienced agent who already has a pretty robust business going that you can learn from them how to do your own business. And so that way, if you fail, you're not like completely obliterating a client's financial future. I mean, when somebody buys a home, it's a big deal, right? So like this isn't just like selling a car or an asset that's going to depreciate. It's you're helping people invest their money in something that's going to hopefully give them a return on their investment later on down the road. And so if you do it wrong or if you give them the wrong advice, there's a lot riding on that. And so that's a lot of pressure for a lot of folks. So if you're inexperienced and you want to jump into it, my recommendation is not to do what I did. It's to jump on a team. But again, we all do what we do. So,
Right. I like how you, when you're saying, like putting into perspective how much rides on you doing a good job. It's not, I think
mhm.
like I've heard this lots of times that people like to glorify being an agent, that it's fun and you're showing houses, but there's so, like you said, there's a lot of work to it. And then there's
Yeah.
also, it's somebody's future and their home and their family is in your hands. So I like
Yeah, I think we've
that.
been ruined by millionaire agent or whatever on Netflix and the housewives of realtors or whatever. I don't know what realty shows out there. But I think we have in some ways our general persona in public has been ruined because people think that we are just living these opulent lifestyles, driving around lifestyles of the rich and famous. Are there real estate agents that are living lifestyles lavish? Yes, there are. Um, the best ones don't really flaunt it. They don't, you wouldn't even know it. But but yeah, I do think that people kind of get a wrong idea about what we're really all about. And the truth is we're all hard workers, just like everybody else is. And but we're also we're in an industry that requires us to trust people and to try uh, and people are not always loyal. People are not always trustworthy. And so there is a bit of a fickleness to human beings that we have to kind of deal with personality wise as real estate agents that a lot of times folks don't realize you have to deal with when you come into
Yeah,
this
I,
industry.
I like what you say about like the trust. We actually, Ginger, our owner and I have talked about that where there's been a trend where people are becoming less and less trustful of maybe like what people are saying and what are out there, but
Mhm.
instead they're really investigating and going deeper of like, okay, like what are you actually doing? Let's
Yeah.
make sure that let's make sure what you're saying matches. So when you say
Yeah.
about building trust and having to trust people, I mean, you can't go through life without trusting in some way, but the burden of evidence is on us as industry
Yeah.
professionals to show that we are worthy of trust. And just because, we say whatever title, that doesn't mean
Hmm.
that, we just earn it without showing that. So
That's
um,
right. Takes time. Got to earn that trust.
that's right. What would you say is one of the biggest challenges that you faced in the last 9 years as an agent, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I would say the biggest challenge is navigating through a shifting market. So one of the things that I'm finding as I do this is that the industry itself is constantly changing. And so what you thought was supposed to be, what was supposed to happen 3 months ago, is, you know, people predict things. They go, hey, this is where it's going to be in 3 months, or this is where you're going to be experiencing next year. And there's a lot of people that are doing that. There's a lot of armchair quarterbacks and talking heads. Everybody's got an opinion. There's tons of coaches. Everybody's like, yeah, there's a lot of money being spent on trying to teach you how to get the business that you're supposed to get.
Yes.
And a lot of it is smoke and mirrors. And so having to navigate through all of the noise that is the real estate industry, specifically, the coaching and the advertising aspect. It's funny, like I didn't realize, like, and I guess as we all get older, we all like these phones that we have, we're constantly being marketed to, right? So
Yeah.
not only am I a marketer as a real estate agent, I'm trying to market my services to people, but I'm also being constantly bombarded by people who are trying to market their services to me as a real estate agent and telling me constantly that I'm doing my business wrong. And so, in the middle of them all telling me that the way I've chosen to do my business is wrong, that this is the right way for you to do business, in the middle of all of that, we also have a shifting market that oftentimes makes you doubt yourself because you may have experienced some success for several years in a certain way, and then all of a sudden your business stops, the phone stops ringing, or you just don't get as much business as you did, and you go, what did I do wrong? Or how do I need to change this? And what do I need to change? And in what way am I, so there's a constant reevaluating of my methodologies that I'm having to do. But the one thing that seems to be remaining consistent for me, and so an answer to navigating the difficulty of that has been the thing that the drum that I beat every single day on social media and with all of the speaking engagements that I'm at, and also all of the little things that I try to encourage other people in business to do, and that is you just have to keep making friends. It is a never-ending cycle of learning how to really go deep and wide and strong with the people that you already know, adding people to the database that you've already got, understanding that your lifeblood for your business is that group of people that you continually have constant communication and outreach to. And so, the way that I am personally navigating the difficulty of the market as it is right now is I am increasing my friend list,
Mhm.
and I am actively adding people to and learning how to be out in front of people more often. I'm striking up a whole lot more random conversations than I have been the last few years. I think the temptation for all of us is we get to a point because it is kind of you reach a point of burnout. Like you build a lot of relationships, you go out there and you do a lot of business, and then you realize in order for me to do more business, I got to keep building more relationships and I got to keep in touch with all the people I've already been in touch with. So
Yes.
it's this constant thing that we're constantly having to do, and you feel like that kid on a bicycle. Remember the thing, and I tell people about this all the time. Remember in Chuck E. Cheese, there's that the helicopter thing you put your kid in.
Yes.
You got to keep pedaling it to keep flying. That's what it is. I mean, we have to keep pedaling so that we can keep flying. And so if you stop pedaling, then what happens is you stop flying. And so that's what I'm finding. The way that I pedal is I continue to call people, handwrite notes, meet with them one on one, go to networking groups, go to parties, throw parties, anything that has to do with me getting in front of people and being in their lives and then consistently following up with them in a systematic way is very, very important in what we do.
Well, and just thinking of like reflecting on what you said at the beginning, like you're like, I'm trying to strike up more conversations with people. I'm like, there's no way that as an Uber driver, you said Uber, right? Or Lyft or
Yeah.
whatever, as that you were not good at that. So you probably
Yeah.
have a lot of practice. But it sounds like
Yeah.
from like your whole career, you've been doing this friend making, creating connections, and then now you're like, hey, this works. But let's not, if it's not broke, let's not fix it. Let's lean into it, is what it sounds like you're
Yeah.
doing.
That's
Um,
right. Yep.
and so is that kind of where you went with I know FriendMaker coaching, what you've been doing with that. Can you talk a little bit about how you
Yeah.
there?
Yeah. So, I've always been an educator at heart. So it's always been an important thing to me to take what I'm learning in life and share it with other people.
Hmm.
Especially as I get older, I want to leave something behind. I'm a big fan. I've shared this illustration with many people, but I'm a really big fan of the old Indiana Jones
Hmm.
movies. And there's one movie, The Last Crusade, at the end of that movie, he is supposed to take this big giant leap of faith over this invisible bottomless cavern or whatever to get across. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen
Is
that
that one the one
movie?
where he throws the sand or something
Yeah,
to?
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
That's right. So
Yeah.
like he stands out and like he's got this little book, and the book that he's reading is his dad's journal or whatever, is telling him, you're supposed to stand here at the lion's head or whatever, and you're supposed to take a leap of faith. And so he has this big moment where he steps out, right? And he just stands on an invisible bridge because he can't see it from his perspective where he's looking out ahead of him. And so he's kind of at that point where he's just made a big leap of faith. I feel like at this stage in the journey, I'm not Indiana Jones standing out making a leap of faith, right? I've already made the leap of faith. I've already walked a little bit across that bridge. I feel like in a lot of ways I'm him on the other side of that bridge now, grabbing up a handful of gravel and throwing it back behind the people behind me and going, "Hey guys, there's a bridge here. Let me show you how to get across it. I know that it looks like it's an empty cavern in front of you and it's a huge step of faith, but let me tell you, I've already taken a step of faith. I've already moved into this thing, and I can tell you there's a bridge there. It's firm, and you can trust this process. Just follow it and take your own personal step of faith. And so that's a big part of what I'm at this point in my life. So a few years ago during the pandemic, I was thinking about how am I doing my business? What is it that is like, how do I make relationships with people? What does that look like? And I came up with the concept of the seven spheres of a friend maker when my wife and I were on a little weekend getaway down in Florida during the pandemic. The it was really cheap. Nobody
Yes.
wanted to go to the beach. Everybody was afraid of the COVID or whatever. And so we got away for a weekend, and she was there for a photography conference, and I spent 3 or 4 days while she was in her conference basically writing down the basic ideas of the seven spheres of a friend maker. And I came up with these seven things, listen, learn, like, loyal, leap, lead, love. And these words are what you do with your clients. And
Mhm.
you love, so, the idea is that you would love your clients long after you sell them something so that they would not feel like you use them to get something out of them, but that you were actually trying to build some kind of community with them. And so that's the idea behind it. And what I've found is that when you do business that way with people, they naturally are endeared to you. They want to refer business to you. They want to do business with you again. And so just learning how to be consistent and systematic in doing all of that stuff is very, very important. And so that's been a really big part of the way that I've done my business.
Well, and I think that goes back to like the trust and their people
Yeah.
and, keep like being
Hmm.
real with people that you are someone that I do care about. It's not just
That's right.
a transaction. You're not just a transaction.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right.
so I know with being a friend maker and with your 9 years of experience, I'm sure you have um a memorable success story or a moment from your career that you could share with us.
Yeah, so I would say the really interesting thing that I would consider successful in my business is probably not the stuff that a lot of folks would say are successful. So I'm going to give you three examples.
Okay.
And I'll try to go quickly through them. But the first one I'm thinking of is um, I did a few years ago, I did a little Instagram post on my social media channel, and I was putting the plumbing thing on the side of my house whenever we were about to have a freeze. And so um, through that little 30-second video, I ended up selling the biggest sale of my career. It was a $2.5 million home over in Franklin. The people that found me, they found me because they saw my Instagram post about
Wow.
this little thing. And so that was a successful moment for me. But the thing that was successful about it was not the fact that it was a $2.5 million sale, although that was a very successful moment financially. The success came when a year later, the client that I had helped go through that process passed away in his sleep, and his wife was was left a widow. And over the last couple of years since he passed away, I've been able to develop a relationship with his wife to where I call her every quarter or so and just check in on her, and we've become friends, and it's always just a very encouraging conversation. And so that sale ended up in friendship.
Mhm.
Um, I had another client who I went through the process of selling them their home, trying to sell their home a few years back, and then we she called me up the day that we were supposed to go over the five offers that were on her house, and she called me and she said that she couldn't sell her house. She was a single mom. They lived on a cul-de-sac, and the night before, she and her son were riding around the cul-de-sac, and her mama's heart just could not leave
Oh,
that house.
yeah.
And but here I was with literally five offers, 20 and 30 and $40,000 above her list price, ready to close on a potential, contract with her and some of her buyers. And she called me that morning on a Sunday, and I had to bite my tongue and go over to her house and let her go, let her go as a client and release her from that. And I realized that in that process, because I was gracious to her and I didn't berate her and make her feel stupid because she had that moment, what happened was 2 years later, she called me up around Christmas time, and I had stayed in contact with her. I'd maintained a friendship with her, and she ended up calling me back last year, and she ended up purchasing and selling her home, putting her house on the market, selling it again, and then buying another home. And so that ended up being a success. And the focus was the relationship. It wasn't the transaction. And because I focused on the relationship, I got the transaction eventually. And then finally, the last one was somebody who has been very dear to me. I've one of my clients that I really, really love very well, and they have bought and sold several homes with me, and they're going through a divorce. And so being able to just help them walk through the process again of selling their home, but this time with them going through that and still being able to be friends with both of them and helping them through that, that's probably been the most. I know that those are not necessarily successful in the eyes of most people because it's not always high, sure, it'll all end up in sales for me, but I don't do this business just because of the money. I do this business because I'm dealing with human beings who are all in different places in life. And so I consider it successful when these people call me back
Mhm.
after years of serving them and ask me to help them once again. And maybe this time not in a great moment. This time is maybe a little bit of a rougher moment. And so I consider all of that successful because That's why I do what I do, because people need an actual human being, somebody who's got a heart to help them with this. And it's more than just a big paycheck. And I think a lot of people look at this business and they go, "Man, that's a big paycheck you're getting." I'm like, "Well, I mean, it is, I guess, but you only get paid when you actually sell a home. So that's one thing. I'm not getting paid a salary, and I have to keep on the grind every single month, every single year, trying to fill my pipeline up and make sure that my family has enough to be able to survive in an industry where there's a lot of competition and a lot of realtors who may have a lot better marketing strategies out there, but may not treat their clients as well as I know that I do. And
Mhm.
so, and that being said, there's also a lot of really great agents that have really great marketing progress, better than I, that are really great agents that can really, they can treat their clients just as good, if not better than I do. So that's just, that's the nature of the beast, so to speak. But that's what I would say is some of the successful stuff I've had out of all of this.
Well, it sounds like too, like I think there's so much focus on like selling at someone's home and then buying a home. Like that's a huge life change and that can be really stressful. But then to
Yeah.
think about having to do that, because life doesn't usually like, hold on, we're going to pause everything else and we're just going to sell a home right
Yeah.
now. There's
Yeah.
really things
There's a
will hit at
lot.
the same time. And, if I'm
Yeah.
going through a really stressful time in my life, all the things you stated could be stressful and are stressful.
Yeah.
It's good to know that yes, be my agent and help me accomplish what I'm accomplishing, but also like be my
Mm.
friend and be my support also and help me get through this and understand
Yeah.
that there's more going
That's
on
right.
here than this transaction that can benefit both of us, but still
Mm.
it's really being a friend in that. I can see how that mantras in coaching and everything, if you
Mm.
embody that, it's going to make a difference in your life and
Yeah.
everyone's around you. So,
It does. It's really important.
yes. So the last question I have is, if someone watches this and they want to get in touch with you, where would you direct them? Where should they go?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I would do is just tell them to call me. My phone number, 615-653-0015. That's the easiest way to get in touch with me. Just give me a call or pop me a text. I do have a website, www.artkelly.org. And you can find links to my speaking workshops. Obviously, my realtor page is there. I have a little blog that I try to write on and share stuff with. And so there's a lot of just different links that are inside of there that people can follow me. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Those are the three primary social media channels that I'm at. So it's just Art Kelly Realtor or Art Kelly Epic EPIQUE, not EPIC. But yeah, I mean that's probably the best way to get in contact with me.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
I really appreciate. I will try to link you in the description for this video, but I really
yeah,
appreciate you taking the time, being our guinea pig.
yeah.
Um,
No, that's great.
with through all
No,
the
thank
technical
you.
difficulties. Um,
No, listen, I mean, you guys are great. I mean, and I'll give a plug to Premier Home Inspection. You guys are my primary home inspector that I like to send people to. There are other home inspectors that are really good in the area, and I've sent folks to them as well. But you guys have, I think, probably some of the best inspectors. You also have a very clear report that's easy to read. So if you're a buyer and you're just looking for a way to have a clear, clean understanding of what it is you're purchasing, having a good home inspection report that's easy to understand and easy to follow and read, I think is really important. I've seen some home inspection reports where it's just like a bunch of words and it's all split up and it's really difficult to follow. You guys are not like that, and your inspectors are all usually very easily available to answer any questions that my clients have. So I have no problem, plugging you guys even in the middle of this video because y'all do good. We're partners in business. And so I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to use your platform to talk to potential buyers that are out there. And hopefully this will be an opportunity for you guys to get some more business. People do business with people they know, like, and trust, right? Like that's what we all
right.
talk about all the time. And so I know, like, and trust you. I know, like, and trust Brent and all the other people that are out there. And I appreciate you guys being willing to put me on your shoulders and let people know about what I'm doing.
Well, thank you for your willingness. We really appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Thanks, Emily.
Thank you.